问一，这段经文先下的命令是什么？ What is the first command given in this passage? 答：命令很直接，你也不可听那先知或做梦之人的话，就算他说的动听，就算他先前显过神迹奇事，就算他的话在群体中很有影响力，只要他的方向是把人从耶和华带走，就不能听，不能跟，不能把心交出去。Answer: The command is very direct. You shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. Even if his words sound persuasive, even if he has previously shown signs or wonders, even if his voice carries great influence in the community, as long as his direction turns people away from the Lord, he must not be listened to, not followed, and not trusted with one's heart. 1.2. 为什么神容许看起来很像声音出现? Question 2. Why does God allow voices that seem very real to arise? 答：摩西说得很清楚，因为这是耶和华你们的神试验你们。加尔文强调，这个试验不是恶意的设圈套或欺骗，而是证明、查验、显明，不是要获取他原本不知道的资讯，而是要把原本藏在心里，连人自己也可能不愿面对的真相显露出来。人到底爱神，还是爱一种能满足自己欲望的宗教外衣？ Answer: Moses states it plainly. For the Lord your God is testing you. Calvin emphasizes that this testing is not a malicious trap or deception, but a proving, examining, and revealing. God is not seeking information he did not previously know. Rather, he is bringing into the open what was hidden in the heart, truth that even people themselves may be unwilling to face. Whether one truly loves God or merely loves a religious form that satisfies personal desires. 1. 经文说要知道，神真的需要知道吗? Question 3. When the text says to know, does God truly need to know? 答：加尔文说这里的知道指的是经验性的显明，不是神学到新知识，而是事情在历史中被展现出来，被分辨出来。简单说，神让真假在现实中不能永远躲在模糊的带。Answer: Calvin explains that to know here refers to experiential manifestation. Not that God acquires new knowledge, but that matters are displayed, seen, and distinguished in history. Simply put, God allows truth and falsehood to be separated in real life, so that people cannot remain indefinitely in ambiguity. 问4. 奥古斯丁的说法叫你们知哪里不够? Question 4. In what way is Augustine's explanation, to make you know, insufficient? 答：加尔文认为那样的解释太绕太弱，把经文的重点缩小成人得到一个认知。但摩西讲的是神主动的作为，神施行试验，使本来被人拖延、被人混过去的事情，在真实生活中显明、被分别出来。Answer: Calvin considers that explanation too indirect and too weak, reducing the emphasis to human awareness alone. Moses, however, is speaking of God's active work. God carries out testing so that matters which might otherwise be postponed or obscured are brought to light in real life, and true piety is distinguished from false piety. 1. 加尔文为什么提到亚伯拉罕? Question 5. Why does Calvin bring up Abraham? 答：因为创世纪22章1节，神试验亚伯拉罕。加尔文用这个例子说明，神的试验不是要毁掉敬虔的人，而是在重大关口中试验信心与顺服，使真实的信心显得清楚，也使人不能靠口头的我愿意来取代实际的跟随。Answer: Because Genesis 1 says that God tested Abraham. Calvin uses this example to show that God's testing is not meant to destroy the godly, but to examine faith and obedience at critical moments, making genuine faith evident and preventing mere verbal willingness from replacing actual obedience. 6. 如果神也是用撒旦和恶人来试探人，会不会让人觉得神做坏事? Question 6. If God uses Satan and wicked people as instruments of testing, does that make God seem unjust? 答：加尔文说，关键在目的。撒旦的目的是恶意诡计要人灭亡，神的目的是把敬虔带到验证中，分敬虔与假冒，工具可能相不同。神使真敬虔被显明，使假敬虔的面具被揭下。Calvin says the key lies in purpose. Satan's purpose is malice, deceit, and destruction. God's purpose is to bring piety into testing and to distinguish what is genuine from what is false. The instruments may appear similar, but the direction is different. God reveals true piety and strips away the mask of hypocrisy. 问七，为什么加尔文说个理由值得留意？ Question 7. Why does Calvin say this reason is worthy of notice? 他，因为他能安定软弱的心。人很容易被神允许这类问题拖住。加尔文指出，摩西提前把人带回核心，神没有睡教会，神在掌权，并且用试验来保守真虔，揭露假敬虔。It steadies weak hearts. People are easily entangled by questions of why does God allow this? Calvin notes that Moses brings people back to the core truth in advance. God is not asleep, nor has he abandoned his church. God is reigning, and he uses testing to preserve true piety and expose false piety. 问教会里出现异端是否表示神失去掌控? Question 8. Does the presence of heresies and disputes in the church mean that God has lost control? 他，不是。加尔文引用哥林多前书11章19节，是经得起考验的人显明出来。这不是说异端是好事，而是说在神称为分辨的器具。Calvin cites 1 Corinthians 11 and 19, where heresies must arise so that those who are approved may be made manifest. This does not mean heresies are good, but that under God's governance, such turmoil becomes a means of discernment. 问九，那神让信心受试验，对人会不会太残酷? Question 9. Is it too harsh for God to allow faith to be tested? 按肉体感受，这看起来很硬，尤其当神迹摆在眼前。但试探真正致命的，只会伤到那些在不敬虔中被定罪的人。真诚敬拜神的人，神保守他们不受致命之伤。Answer. From a human perspective, it may seem severe, especially when signs and wonders are set before the eyes. Yet the truly deadly effect of temptation only harms those already condemned in ungodliness. Sincere worshippers of God are preserved from fatal injury. Hi, the 亲个人会不会也被迷惑? Question 10. Can godly people also be misled? 他可能短暂局部跌入错误，但不会离开根基，也会很快回转，并为自己的疏忽与分心付上管教的代价。I. Answer. They may fall briefly and partially into error, but they will not depart from the foundation, will soon recover, and will bear discipline for their negligence and lack of attentiveness. 问11，很多人说争论太多，我受不了，所以我离开。加尔文怎么看? Question 11. How does Calvin view those who say, there is too much conflict in the church, so I leave? Hi. 他认为这常是借口，用来遮盖自己对神的忽略或厌恶。真心受教温柔的人不缺少分辨与判断。Answer. He regards this as often an excuse to conceal neglect of or hostility toward God. Those who sincerely seek truth with a teachable and gentle spirit will not lack discernment and judgment. 问12，那摩西给的立刻的解方是什么? What is the immediate remedy Moses gives? 答，就是申命记13章4节那一串动词，顺从耶和华，敬畏他，谨守他的诫命，听奉他的话，专靠他。真正的保守在于持续跟随与持守。It is the series of commands in Deuteronomy 13 verse 4. Walk after the Lord, fear him, keep his commandments, obey his voice. Answers, serve him, and cling to him. True preservation lies in continual following and steadfast perseverance. 问13，这段注释最后要把人带到哪个结论? Question 13. To what conclusion does this commentary ultimately lead? 答，试验把真假拉到台面上，不是神把人推向灭亡，而是人自己的心意被显露出来，因此神的审判与保守都显得公义。Answer. Testing brings truth and falsehood into the open. It is not God who pushes people toward destruction. Rather, their own hearts are revealed, and thus both God's judgment and his preservation are shown to be just.